that the president discussed about on the town hall meeting. Kadiru Kaikai's utterances do not represent us as a party, President Bio tells Town Hall. And ahead of next month's commissioning, Chief Minister inspects Sewa Grounds Market. And I also have the exclusive newspaper here, and on its front page, treason trial ends. 11 sentenced to 910 years imprisonment. And you see a photo of one of the accused, Koita, and others. That's the leading story from the exclusive newspaper. Away from that, we'll take the Awareness Times newspaper. Aftermath of his successful engagements with citizens, Julius Maada Bio is buoyant over Town Hall. And RC Bank discusses collaboration with Rwanda's Equity and I&M banks. Foreign Minister Tim Kabar reaffirms commitment to Mano River Union. And I also have the satellite newspaper. At Town Hall meeting with His Excellency, President Bio orders demolition exercise. And following comments to start war if he doesn't win 2028 presidential election, Kadiru Kaikai apologizes to entire nation. Bank Governor of Bank of Sierra Leone launches 60th anniversary. And Rokel Commercial Bank top executives visit Rwanda's Equity and I&M banks. On the Awoko newspaper, High Court slams interim injunction against Sierra Leone Bar Association election contestants caretaker body. And my focus on Feed Salon is to stimulate economic growth and cut down malnutrition. Sierra Leone's economy lost about $21 million every day it was closed, IGR. Court martial, I was forced to make statements, accused. And on the Expo Times newspaper, High Court commits man for shop breaking. And treason trial, court sends Amadou Koita and 10 others to prison. Citizens plead for government aid amid flood crisis. And immigration chief engages United States Department of Homeland Security. And I have the A to Z newspaper, and Palestinian faction sign Beijing declaration to end national rift. At Town Hall, President Bio provides climate change solutions to citizens, and Chief Minister delighted with completion of Sewa Grounds Market. And the last newspaper, oh no, the other newspaper I will take is the Independent Observer newspaper. Parliament, CSOs create bonds, and Kailaun gets new law court building. Energy Minister hosts IFC resident rep, and Global Times newspaper will be the last one. Foreign Minister reaffirms Sierra Leone's commitment to MRU. Immigration Chief engages U.S. Homeland Security. Those are the newspapers that we'll be discussing today. And to start with, I'll bring in Melvin Tijan Mansaray. Let's start with the most talked about event on the newspapers, which is President Bio's town hall meeting yesterday. Melvin, were you able to attend, or you view it virtually?
I followed it online.
Okay. So what's your assessment in general of the town hall meeting yesterday?
It will always be a mixed bag of positives and lowlights. And let me just start from the positive note that yes, President Bio yesterday showed that he still got energy to steer the ship of the nation for the next 4 years. He also showcased that he has still got that personality and clout. He did not only champion the event, but also, I will be coming to the low light, champion the moderation of the event itself.
Okay.
He showcased authority in the sense that he authoritatively distanced himself from, for example, Kadiru, though he cancelled or questioned his chief title, but we saw him according him Mr. And for the kind of callous comments he made, for him to have been accorded even Mr. for me, I think that was a commendation coming from him. But still, he showed maturity, and this was showcased in how he handled the woman with the issue of rice, quote unquote, wherein the minister was, very brash with her. The president showcased maturity in saying, let us speak, allow her to talk. Although if you take a candid look at his demeanor at then, it showcased something with the president and not being comfortable. But nonetheless, he entertained the question, and I think that's where he gave his most passionate. Although yes, he displayed that when he was talking about his chicken, when he was talking about his fish pond, when he was talking about his rice farm, and the need for everybody to inculcate such. Though he deflected from the fact that he had issued a policy statement on people investing in agriculture being some kind of remuneration for them to have been appointed. That was an omission. But I think on the positive light, yes, he showcased that also he can be grassroots if he wants to. Some of his colloquial, some of his tone, some of his rants, some of his chants, even slogans, it shows that he's listening. Okay. Whether he's reacting, it's another thing. But on the low lights, definitely, he showcased lack of being thoroughly briefed. You saw him struggling with figures and facts. And thankfully, so many people have critiqued the minister. I will come to his own criticism, but a credit to his credit is the fact that he was able to be there to not only present literature on some of the facts and the figures on what have been done. Unfortunately, he was unable to do so in terms of pictures and videos, but nonetheless, I think the AYV did the job for him in that documentary on agriculture. So I don't think the chief minister and the civic education minister did their homework well in briefing the president. I think such a town hall should be an informal State of the Nation address, wherein he should have been briefed on the latest updates, at least for the first quarter, on all MDAs as to what he has done. Let's talk about the annual, which was the aim of it. So,
okay, so we'll come to the details, and I just wanted you to have a preview, a review of what's really happened. And Abdul Rahman here, he was there yesterday. Yeah. I saw you, right?
Yeah.
So on your side, what's your view of what happened yesterday in brief before we go to the details?
Well, this is my candid opinion about His Excellency's performance yesterday. I did see a president who really was himself.
Okay.
I saw a president who really exhibited a tendency of somebody having a mind of his own size. Okay. Especially on the issues he thoroughly discussed, especially when he started off with the environment, agriculture, and of course, peace, referencing, the Kadiru brouhaha, when he says it is bad to waste respected titles. But that aside, on the environment, he was very much on the affirmative and very strong enough to actually decry those that champion the cause of encroaching beyond the green belt. Okay. And while His Excellency was talking yesterday, it was a coincidence that I saw the then Minister of Lands, Dr. Sandy. Dr. Sandy, who is now the Minister of Infrastructure, in the views of many people, was the one that actually triggered the widespread encroachment on the Greenbelt. So I was one. Yes. I have reason for saying this.
Yes. What's the reason?
He was a minister of lands then, and I still have with me a clip where the then deputy minister of water resources, they visited the Greenbelt, and they were informed that these people as encroached here were given this parcel of land by no less a person than the minister, and I knew exactly what she says. Something Bachan. You understand? I have that particular clip. He was the one that actually triggered the widespread encroachment on the green land. So I was wondering what was going through his mind when he saw the president making such pronouncements to actually knock down structures that are already beyond the green belt.
But the green belt had been encroached before even Sandy became.
Are you taking brief for
president.
Dr. Sandy?
No, like I've been covering stories also.
The speed of encroachment when he was. I'm coming. The speed of encroachment when he was. Whoever contributed is a factor into this.
Okay.
Whether it started way back in APC or what else, as long as you contributed, going beyond the green belt, you encroach within the green belt. To me, you've contributed towards damaging the environment. Okay. So the president was very much firm yesterday. And the aspects of agriculture, my colleague mentioned here, Melvin, that I'm not sure whether it was a kind of a compensation or it is a tied-up policy that you have to practice backyard farming or you own a farm for you to be appointed as minister. He was merely encouraging people to go into agriculture. And I was actually fascinated yesterday when he mentioned that, he owns a fish pond, and quite a lot, even jokingly telling the minister of if I cook fish for you na bond, like when body small, so he will full up.
Okay.
All of these things. So the bottom line here is what we're saying that what the president did say yesterday, that's a frank talk.
Okay.
Frank talk, and he authored and took charge of that particular town hall meeting.
Okay.
He took charge of that town hall meeting. Right. Whether people did the assignment well
or not,
or they failed to actually coordinate the input, the buy-in of all ministries and MDs, because you would expect the president to actually address issues on the economy. He comes with precise figures.
Okay.
You will expect him to say, how many have we been able to achieve? How your achievements have been able to translate into the economic development and service delivery of the people of this country. Okay. He must have been thoroughly briefed by the duty bearers in those respective MDAs and all the rest. But he took it on his own, and he was very smart to have won the day.
All right, okay, to the details. Melvin, because the minister was hosted yesterday on our Wake Up Sierra Leone program. And one of the things that, just to give a build up before the program started yesterday, that it's an opportunity to break the bridge between citizens and the president, where, as Abdurrahman was saying, is to have a frank talk, ask relevant questions to the president. And when the program started yesterday, in brief, the minister told the audience that they had like well over 800 questions that people, because it was a portal and all that. So my question to you is, like, with all what the minister had been saying on the way the town hall meeting should be engaging between citizens and the president, in your view, do you think that was reflective yesterday on that meeting?
Well, your question, I will need to be very much specific in answering the objective versus the results. The essence of town halls are to talk and to listen. And one thing I will tell you as a mate, the president was able to talk.
Okay.
To talk at his best. But one thing I cannot tell you is that whether the questions and the selection of that audience and the selection of the questions and the selection of the agenda, including the selection of the moderator, is reflective of independent and people's opinion, I think that should be left for posterity and opinion pool. But one thing I know,
No, in your view,
I think not.
Do you think it's independent?
No. We can do it better. You cannot have a child interviewing the dad.
Okay.
You know, you cannot go interviewing Papa. In all due respect, with all due respect to the minister, who was doing a very good job in helping the president with facts and figures, with his literature. So the fact remains that if we want to make it more people-centric, firstly, it should be frequent. At least we should be having town halls on a quarterly basis. That's one. Two, I think it should be independent, and that was the biggest chunk of missing elements. We only had the opportunity to say what the state wanted us to say. Moving forward, I think independent organization, and unfortunately it was a partnership between the ministry and other partners. How comes they could not provide the platform when they were partnering with AYV, Sleek and Star and others, so the media, or at least some experts? There is no way I was expecting Chairman Minister Ba to grill President Bio. Let's talk about facts and specifics. So I think moving forward, that was a missing element on the people-centeredness of the event. Can you imagine somebody that in fact
what do you think they could have done to make it more people-centered?
Of course, allow an independent and somebody with very high moral standing to moderate the session.
So when you say moral standing, do you think...
the politician is a politician. They have moral fibers, I agree. But when it comes to public trust and politics, we know what we know.
Okay.
Okay? Have somebody as an expert or an independent thinker to moderate the session. If you want to do a selective audience on that, I think it's always going to be questionable. But I will just deposit one thing here. The energy the president used to campaign for his election, he only needs to emulate such approaches or an approach towards engaging in public and civic engagement. So it can be improved. And with the issue of rice, that's a whole ball game. I think I should give credit to the president for being patient, being matured, and definitely
the way he handled
in the way he handled that. That is not to say he handled every other issue in such a way, in such a way, for the fact that you sense the tone of us versus them when it talks about, for example, census. If they say Israeli people then come on, they're not come on, how that you will blame. If they call you, so he's still imbibing the culture of the us versus them. I think the good thing he only expressed that the SLP will be having an election. But guess what? He gave a condition. He said the box stopped at his desk in one instant, and in another instant he says, if you get a wrong leader, where you don't pick badly, you don't go pick Satan. He used this, and he uses. So he was giving an assurance that I'm not contesting, which is for me the biggest, abundantly clear.
Last and
this is final
time,
and last time. But what's not clear is how much independence is going to be given and latitude for the party to select. And I think he downplayed the issue of Kadiru Kaikai, in my honest opinion.
Why do you think so?
Because this is a national matter that's unlimited to party picking affairs. It was quite unfortunate. It was quite unfortunate.
So maybe because he did that because they had already made a stand as a party. Because when the minister was asking the question, he reminded him that even though we as a party have put out a press release condemning the act, but I want you to talk as a leader. What's your view on that? And he publicly condemned the act.
The minister should be credited for being bold in asking. That's a very topical and poignant issue. But I think the disaster there is the response of the president. Firstly, he questions whether he's a chief or he's hailing from a chieftaincy lineage.
Maybe because he tied that because of the status and integrity a chief must have.
He is questioning whether he's a chief or not. That is the bottom line. And secondly, he is limiting the matter just to SLPP. When we know the comments he made goes far beyond the corridors of the SLPP. Firstly, he was critiquing, not even a critic, that he was criticizing yesterday's event. Say this sort of town hall business. So who was he referring to? He was insinuating or alluding to the president and the events held yesterday. That's an insult on the presidency. And also, he is saying he has got a calculation in terms of financial sum as to what it involves to stage a war in this country. That should provoke a national investigation as to where he's got that money from and in what capacity was he speaking from. I don't think Kadi was speaking on an independent or a lone voice. In some cases, you look at the video and listen carefully, he was mentioning collective we. So his wealth, not only his wealth, who are his associates, and what is prompting him. He's not only threatening the SLPP or President Bio as to whether he should answer the internal politics of the SLPP, he's also making threats to even the opposition. What he was saying, in my estimation, he was technically saying that the SLPP cannot be defeated even in 2028 with him. Is that the reflection? Is that just limited to the SLPP? I think they've done what I was expecting the president to say, is that for the full force of the law to take its course. Okay. By so doing, he should have enticed the police and other security apparatus. But for now, even if I was a police officer or an investigator dealing with him, I would be very restrained, because outside the pardon say the party go come out with the decision. So he's not talking about the state. He presented the situation as if SLPP party office is bigger than the nation.
No, I think in that case he was talking about his suspension and
that's what I'm saying. So, it goes beyond Wallace Johnson street matter. Okay. SLPP disciplinary committee matter. No, it is national affairs. If you are condemning in the same instance idiots, SO2 quote unquote idiots, for creating or fomenting instability in the country, provoking threats and things like that, why should you not call out or use even the bullets for bullets on people like Kadi or ask the full force of the law to take its effect? Okay. I think the president downplayed that issue, and he was just showing his true color that he's a politician. Where Kampanka, his SLPP interest tops the chart.
Okay, I'll come back to you. And Abdurrahman, when in your submission earlier on, you commended the president for his response specifically to the issue of Kadiru. But Melvin is saying otherwise here. So do you have anything to say in that regard?
Well, just to let you know that I hold a dim view with respect to what my colleague is saying. I will not discard his view.
When you mean you hold a dim view?
A dim view, that is to say, straying off from what he thinks is the right thing.
Okay.
He might be getting a valid considerations in all what he's saying. I will not challenge. Okay. But the bottom line here is, I don't want to sound redundant by way of just going through what he said. All of his points perhaps may be valid. Okay. But on a given note, the action taken by the Secretary General of the party, Umaru Napoleon Esquire, I think is within an inter-party discipline that has no connection or link with what the police intend to actually do. Okay. As we speak, I don't know whether he has been granted bail or is still under custody, but the bottom line there is the police are going to look deep into this, because those statements seem to be pretty much incendiary. They cannot be taken for granted. Right. Most importantly, my colleague Melvin mentioned about the moderation of the program yesterday. Okay. I told a line with my colleague that we would have loved to see a situation where 4 people really comes to mind. These are very senior colleagues when it comes to a media profession in this country. Yeah. Dr. Isaac Masakoy, Dr. Francis Sowa, Ransford Wright, Umaru Fofana, one of them should have been selected to actually create a kind of independent space, if only we would have gotten it right. An opportunity should have also been given to say, we have Melvin, we have the Amadou Lamran Abbas, we have other people that will give the opportunity for them to ask questions. Okay. And those 100 and 800 questions were they given to the president to preview, so that he will have a clear understanding as to how he's going to approach all of these questions. The Zoom, did people ask questions on the Zoom? What the minister did say, not all of those questions are expected to be responded to, but they will, after the program, will forward a response to those that ask the question through written form. That is to say, they will give them an answer. But those answers are not coming directly from the president. You understand? This is the reason why I said he was a kingmaker yesterday in that town hall meeting. For me, it's like a privileged discussion. The president was himself. He exhibited a tendency of what I will describe as having a mind of his own size. People are saying President Bio is a tiger by the tail. He exhibited that yesterday. He exuded the kind of strength, the zeal, the resilience. You understand? Apart from the muscular, the masculinity that he showed, he not even tell herself. What he was doing, just sipping water. He was ready, I'm sure, even if that particular program should have gone up to 9-10, he was ready to answer, sit there and answer questions.
Okay.
But the frame, the approach, which my colleague Melvin has mentioned, you understand? All of them are valid points. Give answer. Melvin should have got to the point where perhaps he will ask. I would have loved to ask the president, Mr. President, how would you like to be remembered? That question is very much encompassing. How would you like to be remembered after life after presidency? Very, 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 in his word, pregnated question. He had him yesterday talking of pregnated question. You understand? That encompasses quite a lot. How would you like to be remembered? When I give a free flow within the governance structure, when I uphold the principles of democracy, the best they can do, when I deliver for the people of this country on my manifesto promise.
Okay, so
how many manifesto promise was actually given yesterday as a question that he was able to implement?
All right, as a journalist, a senior one, and the independency you were expecting and all that. So from all the questions that were asked, do you think the criticality of what people were expecting were reflected on those questions?
Well, I will take it from the particular to the general. What the minister did, this is something that he fomented within himself and said, I'm gonna put forward these questions as if they are coming from him.
Fomented, for those who might not understand what fomented means.
Bruh, and let me choose it. Let me give the cue to the president here. Let me give the cue to the president. These are not questions coming from the people.
It's a set of something.
No. Let me give the cue. But generally, when you look at them, they will appear as if these are the serious concerns citizens would have loved to ask the president.
Okay.
But in a systematic or in a chronological order, as the question will come, he did not go that pathway. Now, he don't know and say, this is the way I choose to go. And thus, he succeeded in doing that. But the president was smart enough to actually touch on the areas that I think principally it concerns citizens in the state. This is the reason why I said I saw a president who, in my estimation, is a tiger by the tail.
Okay. All right, I'll come back to you. Melvin, I see you are giggling and smiling, all that. So the same question, what's your view on that?
The question is?
The questions that were asked yesterday as a senior journalist, and looking at the independency and objectivity of what you were expecting, do you think those questions really reflected the criticality of what is really happening?
In entirety, you cannot discard all the questions. Somebody asked about the census, and that sounds very natural in that sense, and how the president responded to it.
Okay.
Alfonso Manley, the first, and that was the first speech, right? Yeah. And when I saw the minister was saying, in fact, the minister was reading from a script. Meaning that, and he explained that they have entered this question, but they were selected. So how can you have entered your question virtually, and you are invited, accredited to come again and ask the question physically? That was an injustice to the online audience. Somebody was not going to post the question. I'm a question online a poster. I don't even need to be there once it's covered. So you need to do an online aggregation of the question, of course, and selecting them. That's always going to be done, whether by raffle or by scareful. But that is done. And as Alfonso Manley's question was nationalistic, but issue specific. And you don't know, perhaps it's from within that question was generated. But it has got bearing on the wider masses, because he was talking about student loan scheme replacing that of SLG and what should be done. And he requested that the post be increased. You cannot say that was an obvious thing or a stage managed, but we know it's part of the reggae. And the other one was talking about there were a few other questions, but I think what exposed the what I would call the question, the fixation of the questionnaire is the woman with the issue of hunger. All right, you can clearly sense that audience was pro-government audience.
Okay.
A. B. You can clearly sense that party picking were there to only applaud what was pleasant to the heart.
Okay.
And when the woman with the issue of rice stood, firstly, she might have break protocol on Siba's list. Secondly, coming in late. And of course, asking a question. Well, if I want to borrow the words of President Biya, I will not borrow that I word question. But technically, it was that question that one might think that, oh, it came in the very unholy words of the minister in his adjectives against the woman. I think President Biya defended Siba. He showed immaturity in that case. Because you're a young man. I mean, like, you can't be a young man for the roots. Your duty is there not to vex more than the pa. The pa ain't getting vexed. Well, Siba was like vexing more than the pa. And the pa said, oh, she's a woman. She was thrown on, I mean, Siba was literally thrown under the bus by President Biya.
He did not professionally.
That is conduct.
Right?
In fact, what I'm expecting, there's perhaps going to be heads rolling after this post town hall.
Okay.
Some people did not perform up to expectation. One, chief minister. I think the brief case of the president for that town hall was not well kept. From the ministries, so? The president was not up to speed on interventions of ministries, departments, and agencies. And it's not the duty of the information minister to do that. It's the duty of the chief minister. And you can see the chief minister was enjoying the show. A show which he should have been a mastermind of. Even if he was a mastermind in the public show, he was not paying attention. Okay. I will not be surprised if President Biya wakes up and say, oh, looking at this town hall again after reviewing, some people are not fit for their job. And indeed, it was manifested. So moving forward, I think, okay, on the issues, President Biya said he's traveling in August.
Yes.
From a security perspective, I think that was not wise for him to announce his departure so soon. I don't know. That comes again into issue of briefing. He should have been briefed by all sectors, intelligence, security, as to what he should say or not say. And what he never said who's going to pay for this August fly or August trip.
Okay, but
he cut short from that.
Again, let me just, before you continue,
yeah.
Again, because maybe that was the first time he made it public, because we know that Sierra Leone is supposed to chair the Security Council for August, and he's the big man. So don't you think, even if what you're saying in the area of security, because other presidents have been doing likewise when they are chairing.
The context in which he said that was not too mindful. He was using a sarcasm.
Sarcasm.
Like he talks, una the pool say the fly una ready back home. Like he the candor there, he the fit there, he tell them the real facts, una the reality. Now in them bookman called sarcasm. He was being very sarcastic. Like when they say they fly, well, I can't fly back to August. Is that the kind of presentation you do it in a diplomatic?
But he did not put it the way you are putting it.
No, that's what is that. I mean, you read between the lines when
it's implied.
You have implicit and explicit meanings. Yeah. He was not going to say that. Now, big man. Of course, he was very mature. He showed that he has been in leadership. He is perhaps the country's leading leader. Whether he's popular or not, that can be a question for another day.
So, but don't you think it is justifiable for him to be there?
That you are going to be there, that is obvious. When you say I'm going again,
because he's like the people have been saying he's traveling in and out and all that,
yes,
and because of that, he said, "Okay, this is our time." Because over for the past 53 years, we've not been able to get that opportunity, and we are getting it after 53 years. And don't you think it is justifiable that, as the man who succeeded in taking us back to the UN Security Council, should be there?
Why should he not be there? The issue is not whether he is going to be there. The issue should be at what cost and whose expense he's going to be there. He's going to be at the United Nations expense.
But he's going there on behalf of Sierra Leone.
The criticism against him, the elephant in the room, that it travels more than the dividend that are returning to the country. That is the bottom line. For a country that is economically cash-strapped, for an economy that is not in a good shape, you know, in the Economic Times, many of his critics on traveling are saying cannot be commensurate to the returns we are getting, because it's cost.
We've seen $800 million, 400 and when he went to the OPEC fund.
And you had him yesterday saying, these are not monies readily available, they are promises.
Yes,
was
but
that not the case?
he said it will happen.
Okay, it will happen. It will happen, and it has happened. Now, two different things back you. It don't be any get for being now two different things. Okay. So the fact remains here is when it comes to donor fund, he clearly stated that. He was being very honest that some of these donor promises are only promises, are mere promises until they are in country, then they can be utilized. That's an honest fact. Okay. So moving forward on his traveling, what he did not address, I was expecting the cost of his traveling versus benefits in numbers.
Okay. All right. So
that was not done. Okay. Meaning that somebody should have briefed the president. I don't expect him to sit and write all of those things, but there are people who have paid millions of leones to do this job, and they should do their jobs.
All right, and maybe you want to comment on what he's just saying in the area of the UN Security Council. But yesterday, as I said, you were present there, and one of the things I saw your reaction on that you seemed interested in is in the area of the natural resources, when they asked the question, and what will the president do to ensure that those natural resources benefit the citizens of this country?
I think from what the president did say, many among the things he mentioned is the establishment of mineral wealth fund. Let's understand the intention here is to compensate developments in the area of health, education, and of course, service delivery. We've seen a situation we're confronted with, having less than 3% royalties since mining was discovered in the 1930s. For a greater chunk of what constitutes the benefit is being taken out by multinational corporations. 68% is the target being set now. That should be the average in revenue when we do have this mineral wealth fund. But the challenging aspect about this mineral wealth fund is, in as much as it's a very good idea, we are expecting it to have been localized in the sense, now we're hearing of a foreigner being tipped to oversee the mineral wealth fund, Igor Silbaros. Who is this guy? The question is, are we not capable as Sierra Leoneans to actually handle? The last time I was here, we discussed these things. Why is it that we allow a foreigner to actually come and manage our mineral wealth fund? What do we? The reason being, you have few people within the corridors of power that are in connivance with this chap to actually handle this on a cost-benefit analysis at the detriment of the nation.
Do you have proof on that?
Do I need to have proof?
Yeah, you do.
Do I need to have proof, or you want me to let you? You want me to let you know?
You want to convince the people, not me, but people might be thinking, why do you?
Those sitting at State House as I'm talking now, I'm sure His Excellency the President is watching me. He knew what I'm saying. He mentioned this, that we are going to ensure we have 68% average in revenue. We've been losing a lot. This is public knowledge now, that this particular Igor Silbaros, so you watch your dailies, how journalists fetch the news. It's as a result of, do I need to tell you the source of where I got this? I will not.
No,
it will sound irresponsible. No, I'm coming.
I'm taking if you have proof on the claim you are making.
The proof of it constitutes part of my understanding. So do I need to sit here and tell you? It's unthinkable. I will not. But what I'm saying here is, this is what is prevailing now. The guy owns a business, Mount View, and he wants to head this with the support of few Sierra Leoneans. For whatever reason, they knows. And this could be a backlash on the regulatory institution, like the NMA and also the Ministry of Mines. Why foreigner for can't handle wealth fund? For God's sake, why?
All right. So
we're not capable for even to handle them ourselves.
I'm going to hold you there because time is not on our side right now. I'll come to you, Melvin, a minute. Maybe you want to comment on what he's saying in the area of the mining benefiting the country, and maybe give your parting short in a minute.
I don't have all details as to how, and
Okay.
that's why we need a follow-up mechanism on this town halls.
All right.
That all the announcements that he made and the assurances and promises will be tracked
Okay.
and see by the next town hall they are. But I think one thing that he said that beats my imagination is when President Bio attempted to downplay the issue of petty theft and mega theft.
Okay.
That was quite the lowest ebb for me. And if you're saying you're championing the fight against corruption, be it big or small, is corruption. So if you're saying thief small, say we are doing that or this. So moving forward, I think this is a good start, but the president must be able to maintain common touch without any holds bar, because at the end of the day, if he's just surrounded by his yes men, they might not tell him what he needs to know and do for the nation. So we're on the right trajectory, and we're always going to evaluate and give a critical analysis on these developments.
All right. Thank you so much, Melvin. Okay, Abdurrahman, your part in short, just a minute.
Well, my pattern remark here goes to the Minister of Information and Civic Education. He's a brother. I love him. Very smart, intelligent. He's somebody I admired most for quite a while now. But in life, you think quickly and talk slowly. You have a long way to go.
All right. Thank you so much, Melvin Tijan Mansaray and Abdurrahman Kamara, for joining me here today on Friends page. So, viewers, we are sorry we'll not be able to take the messages because time is not on our side. So, but this is where we bring the cut down for today's show. And you've been watching Friends page here on AYV Television.